What's up, family? Chris from Smart Music Business here, also known as Manifest. And I got my man, Michael Walker from Modern Musician. This is going to be an awesome podcast. I'm going to be interviewing him, doing a really candid interview because we're going to be going live later on, which you're not going to want to miss by going to smartmusicbusiness.com because we're going to do a live Q&A in training. But I want to welcome Michael. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me. Doing
You're
well.
well. Good, man. Florida is good, of course.
Yeah, this time of year it's pretty dang hot and muggy, so that's part of it. But yeah, it's nice here.
You just dropped so much value, and I just loved all your stories of how you've helped artists. And what's cool is, some of my students you went ended up coaching, and then one of your students that I hadn't worked with before had hired me to just do a call. And I got to look at like his funnel and how he was getting fans in, and he was using ManyChat and different things. And he was selling, I forget what he was selling. He was selling a really cool digital bundle. But I'd love for you to just share, like, like we're going to have all kinds of artists, beginners, more advanced, listening to this, like how, like, you teach artists to like start that cold marketing conversation to just get their music heard. Like, I know you just released a song, and so on your heart is to get your music heard. I'm releasing songs. I just want to get my music heard. And I wouldn't mind if you just share maybe some of the strategies, ideas, and out of the box stuff I know you guys do just to start that conversation and getting your music out there to people.
Mm, for sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that part of what you just said really like illuminates the strategy in general, which is just about having conversations. I think
Yeah.
that that's such like a key component, especially early on when you don't necessarily start with a big audience or big fan base. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of artists who, at that point, feel, I don't know, maybe a little bit embarrassed or ashamed, or it's pretty easy on social media to just like look out and see the very people who are very popular, like very established audiences. And so I think at the beginning, it's easy to overlook that really crucial step, which is really all about conversations and engagement and connecting with those fans personally.
Yeah.
So, the strategy that is really kind of at the core of what we teach with Modern Musician is based around a messenger campaign,
Hmm.
which, in a nutshell, we call it virtual tour hacking. And we call it virtual tour hacking because it came from this initial idea that we called tour hacking with our band Paradise Fears when we first started, which was we actually walked up to fans who are waiting in lines for shows, and
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
they'd be waiting there for like days in advance and just not doing anything better than just waiting in line. So we would walk up to them and introduce ourselves and have a conversation with them and share some of our music. And I think that for us personally, when I like reflect on our career, before that point, we had booked our first tour, and we realized really quickly that you can't just book the shows. You actually need to figure out how to get people to come out to the shows. So I remember playing some shows early on with like just the bartender in the back of the room,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
at the
Yeah. Oh,
time
yeah.
living in our van. And so I mean, probably the number one thing that we did that helped us go from that point to eventually releasing an album that hit number 2 on iTunes and touring worldwide was this idea of quote unquote tour hacking. And so we had 6 people in the band, so we split up into groups of 2, and we
Amazing.
followed other tours around the country. And before the shows, people waiting in line, so we just have a conversation with them. Honestly, we'd just walk up to them, we'd introduce ourselves, we'd ask if they want to listen to some music, and then doing that, I was like a super shy, awkward kid, so I
Yeah.
it didn't come naturally, and I think that there's a lot of fear of rejection and just like that initial process that happens,
Yeah.
especially as a
Yeah.
musician, right? As a
Yeah.
musician, it's like you're sharing like a piece of your soul, and sometimes, I mean, if you're like me, then you're not necessarily like an extrovert, or you just naturally kind of like engaging with people. But it's so important, in terms of promoting yourself, right? It's like you
Yeah.
need to like learn how to have conversations.
Yeah.
So basically, that strategy was how we went from scratch to selling 24,000 CDs in about four and a
Wow.
half months
Wow.
with the band,
How
and
many
it
did you guys
also.
sell in a day? What was the most you ever sold in a day? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I remember there was one day that comes to mind in Atlanta, Georgia, that it was like one of the highlights of our musical career. I remember it was our lead singer and I. We were grouped together in this like old Honda Civic that broke down at one point. This is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
junky car. Got great gas mileage though. But this day, I just remember just being on fire, like just talking to everyone, and everyone was just like I think Atlanta had like a really great music scene for it, and just we were firing on all cylinders, and I think that we sold between 250 to 300 CDs just between the lead singer and
Oh,
I,
yeah.
and
Love
and
it.
I remember that day specifically too.
Were they
We got
5 or 10 bucks? Like how much were you selling them for? Sorry. Cut you off.
yes, so we kind of varied it. So
Yeah. Whatever
sometimes
they
if there's
had.
like right, if they had, I mean, in some cases, like
I only
there's a
got
group.
$2. I'll take that.
I remember someone actually giving us $100 bill one time
Boom.
for the, and sometimes people like would actually give more than, because the way
People
that
are
we position it,
generous, man. People are
it's
generous.
it's true, man, and it's all about the way that you show up and your approach and like your intentions behind it. I mean, it would be pretty easy to do this the wrong way, right? Like if you
Yeah.
just walked up and just like kind of,
Be
you know,
annoying.
yeah, be annoying, or I think that for a lot of people, an image can kind of come to mind of someone trying to stop. You're walking down the street and someone tries to stop. Hey, buy my mixtape, and it's just sort of not it's the right way
Yeah. So
to go
too
about it.
aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, too
Yeah.
aggressive, and also just like the intentions. It's just there's an energy behind it that's sort of like
That's
me, me,
good.
me, 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 give me, as opposed to when you're talking with someone and they really want to provide value for you, or like they really
Yep.
are interested in building a long-term relationship, then the energy is a lot different.
And dude, you know
Um,
what you said? Like that's so good. And people listen, I hope you hear that. Like the way you approach something and like, hey man, we're a band from whatever, and we're just trying to get our music. You want to check it out? Oh, did you like? Oh, you liked it? Oh, do you want to buy it? Like the same thing can be like that same attitude translates to virtual, which I know you're going to get into, but like even when you're posting on social media, promote, like I'm wearing one of my shirts today, and I did a post about it, and I promoted my a fighters that someone never fails, a fighter someone never quits. And I'm just like, hey, if you want to support what I'm doing, go to the store. It's not like, hey, buy my, you know what I mean? Like such a different attitude. And I always say, like, be excited when you talk about it. Don't be there's a difference between being excited and aggressive. But anyways,
mm.
keep going because like
Yeah, yeah, and to just speak to that, I think that's such an important point that really distinguishes whether you're gonna be successful offering something or selling something is your own mindset and positioning around how you view the thing that you're offering. Like if you have issues where of maybe a value or self-worth where you don't think that the thing that you're offering people really want it, then the way
yeah
that you come across is going to sort of be like it's just going to be messed up. It's going to feel like you're trying to convince someone, especially when it comes to sales. It's sort of like you're trying to
yeah
convince them to get something that they don't really want, and just the energy
yeah
shifts as opposed to really the first person you sell is yourself, right? Like you
yeah
really have to focus on, what is valuable about this, and do people want this, and creating something that they really want, so that when you do show up, you're doing it from a place of confidence and a place of really wanting to provide service, and
yeah.
that's going to affect the way that you position it. Um,
Can you talk
so
about sorry to cut you off? Can you talk about the things that people want, creating something that they want? I can't even remember the bundle that this guy was selling, but could you share some of the offerings that because artists are like, well, I don't know what to sell. Like, I don't even know what to
mm,
offer. Like, what do you recommend that they offer? I know it's different than what I might recommend. Like,
that's a really really great question. Should I finish the conversation part and then go to like what should they offer? Because I think there's
yeah,
probably a few components that would be good to talk through first.
yeah, absolutely. Sorry, man. I get excited.
It's a really good question. So that was tour hacking, right, in a
Yeah,
nutshell. And really, I think the principle behind it was that, and the reason that it worked was because it was really based on those conversations. It was based on
yeah,
like truly connecting with people personally, especially early on. I think that
yeah.
that's such a core that's so important. In any industry, right? For any
Mm-hmm.
startups as well,
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
starting out creating a service or a business.
Yeah,
It's like talk to your people, interview ten
yeah,
to 20 people, and just ask and really like get that qualitative feedback that you need from them. And so that was tour hacking, and basically when I started Modern Musician and I transitioned from touring full time to kind of like a basketball player becoming a coach and like coaching other artists. Um, one of the first things I started with was I was teaching tour hacking, and I was like, this is a strategy. It worked for us. I'm not really sure if it still works, but I'm gonna coach a few clients and see if it works. And one of the first bands that I started coaching, there's two guys in the band, and they went out and they did it, and they made $11,000 in a single month.
Yeah.
And so I was like, sweet, awesome, tour hacking. Everyone go do this.
Yeah.
And pretty quickly realized that the people who went tour hacking and did it, it was awesome, and they had a really great experience doing it. But the majority of people, like 99% of people, are like, I love that idea of tour hacking, but also, is there any way to do this without going out and meeting
Yeah.
strangers in lines for shows or leaving home and like following tours around? Can you do this
Yeah.
online? And that's really kind of where like the seed was planted, I think, of virtual tour hacking.
Yeah.
And in a nutshell, virtual tour hacking, which is really like the main methodology and the main strategy that we focus on, is based on messenger campaigns. And it's really very similar to the way that we did in-person conversations talking, but it's based in like the inbox on Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger. And it's just, you share, you connect with people and you have a conversation back and forth. And I think that there's a lot of really good things that happen, especially early on around that type of communication, because it really allows you to get feedback from your fans and to be connected with them and to build like some real solid engagement early on, and to be able to segment people based on the conversations and based on like,
Their level of
the questions
interest.
you're asking.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
And they're doing this manually or running ads so that it starts a conversation in the inbox.
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, there's different ways you could do it. You could do it organically. I
Yeah.
know that one strategy you could do it for free is just follow a bunch
Just
of similar
nice.
artists on
Yeah.
Instagram, and then follow their fans that are engaging. If they follow you back, send them a quick DM or send them a quick voice message. So it's definitely possible to do it for free. But the strategy that we recommend, just because it saves you a lot of time, is launching a messenger campaign on Facebook and Instagram ads, because you can literally target people who are fans of the bands that you'd like to tour with.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like approaching someone in line for their show, but instead,
Virtually.
virtually. And what's great about it too is, we had this joke, and this is probably kind of a, I don't know, this is probably kind of a bad joke to have had, but I remember we had this joke that when we were tour hacking, we were like, man, can you imagine if there's more than 6 of us doing this? We could just like recruit. And there sometimes when we were like on the streets, there would be like homeless people who were like on the streets, and we'd like be walking by them. We're like, can you imagine if we just had like an army, like we recruited like all the homeless people to like walk up, and be like, hey, like you should listen to this band Paradise Fears.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was kind of a funny like visual that like came up for
Yeah.
But in a way, it's kind of like we're doing that, not with homeless people, but with the virtual side of it. You can do
Yeah.
some really cool things with ManyChat and with Janus AI and Dialogflow, and basically creating these automated flows that over time, I mean, I think we're really, right now, we're just kind of tapping into the potential, like barely. Like I think that
Yeah.
over time, they're going to become smarter and smarter and smarter, and and even better. I could really geek out going down a rabbit hole here. But the point is that you can actually automate this. So you can actually have a chat bot that
Yeah.
you want to be transparent. Like, it's not like you're trying to
Yeah.
mislead people into thinking that it's actually you.
Yeah.
But
Hey, this is Michael's chat bot. Hey, this is Manifest chat bot. Just it's like there's nothing to hide, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And setting up in a way where it still has your voice, and it's still, yeah, and you let them know that the reason you created this was so that you could share the songs. You just don't have the time to meet with everyone personally
Yeah.
anymore.
That's cool.
But you'd like to connect more. So
Yeah.
at the end, you're going to invite them to your private community
Yeah.
where you can connect personally.
Yeah. I'm in the studio right now, but I wanted to make sure, at least someone connected with you.
Mm.
And it can come and you just add personality to it, right? When you're messaging, and again, have fun. Like, don't be desperate. Be passionate, right? One thing I thought of, which why I love Facebook, Instagram ads, all that stuff, is the idea of like, the amount of people that you guys could walk up to in a day, and again, like it's dependent on how many tours there are, and then just time, like how much, and then you got to eat, you got to drink, you got to go to the bathroom. When you set this up virtually, like I know you teach, and which we'll be talking about next week, so make sure you come to it at smartmusicbusiness.com, is the idea like virtually, like physically, let's say you can talk to 1,000 a day. virtually by doing your tool hacking virtually, you can reach up to tens of thousands a day, depending on your budget. And so you're always going to be able to beat out the person who's just investing their time. When you invest your money and leverage these tools, you're going to smoke past any other artist, right? Like it's just, the numbers just don't lie.
100%. Yeah, I think that this is a concept that you talked about in your book, which is awesome. By the
Right.
way, the From Red to Black was this idea of investing money to save time, and
Yeah.
how time, that's what the wealthiest people do, is that
Yeah.
they buy back their time. They really value their time. And so I think that there's that's a really powerful principle, especially at scale. Like you really have
Hmm.
to start thinking about, okay, I have a limited amount of time. Where can I spend this time? Like I can really get the best return on this time.
Yeah.
So I think that there is sort of this beautiful scaling kind of mechanism that happens where early on, what I think is a great way to start out is by actually, like, you might not necessarily want to jump right to the automation, right? So, because by
Yeah.
doing that, you might kind of miss out on that
Yeah.
initial feedback, that initial connection that you'd get. And honestly, you might be automating something that just isn't really working because you haven't really
Mm.
worked out the kinks or got it set
Yeah.
up in your voice, right?
Yeah.
So if you can kind of start out and just do it manually for the first,
See what
100
people are saying.
messages.
See what people are saying. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. See what they're saying, and you start to work out your voice, and be able to test out and be like, oh, I guess when I phrase it like that, people tend to not really care. But then when I phrase it like this, like, oh, they're actually clicking through and they're actually getting things.
Yeah.
And so I think that it is smart to always stay as connected as you can, like early on, especially when you're getting that qualitative feedback. But then absolutely, like as you start, if you want to grow and impact and reach more people, then you just have to get smarter with how you leverage your time. And one of the best ways to do that is with advertising. It's with creating funnels, creating systems that don't require your time to manually lift them.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, even right now, like, okay, I go follow a bunch of people. They follow me back. Say some guy named John follows me who also listens to Linkin Park. And I'm like, hey, John, thanks for the follow back. I appreciate it. I'm a fan of Linkin Park too. Actually, my music's inspired by us. I'd love it if you could check it out at YouTube or Spotify or send them wherever, right? Like that could be step one. And I don't know what you teach. I'm just kind of talking this out. And that's for anyone could do that, or go to SoundCloud, go to Bandcamp, wherever you want to send them, right? And I'm just thinking this out, like, okay, dude's response, oh, your music is awesome, cool, like, thanks so much. And then maybe another message could be, and this is where I want you to talk about the different bundles, is like, well, hey man, if you like that, you might also like this. Just want you to know that we've got this bundle. Hugh and Michael, and the bundle is
Yes, absolutely. And I love that. I mean, one really important point. In fact, I'll start with the value line. I'll start with some of the different things that you can think about offering. But then there's also a really important point. I think just in terms of what your expectations with like offering things, and the fact being that like 90% of people aren't ever going to buy anything from you, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't offer it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
And
some of the
maybe the
different.
offer is not right, and you got to find the right offer.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, like sometimes the offer's not right. You can adapt it, or it's just a matter of the timing's not right. So the four different offers that we recommend, that we usually start with, are on the, and I know that you have a lot of experience with some of these too. Like the first one that I think is a great thing to start out with is some sort of free plus shipping offer,
Yeah,
because there's something that's a pretty big hurdle for someone to take, is going from prospect to customer.
yeah.
There's just like a big psychological shift. And I've heard
Hmm.
before that your buyer's list is about 10 times more valuable than just like your normal followers. And I think
Yeah.
that's true. If someone's like willing to pull out their credit card and actually purchase something from you, that shows a very high level of qualification. It shows that like they
Mm,
actually care and they're willing to support you. Like
yeah.
we invest our money, like I've heard this phrase before, that we vote with our dollars, right? Like if you want
Yeah.
to see what does someone value, then how about you look at the equivalent of value that we all have agreed is value, which is
Hmm.
money, and see where
Yeah.
they spend their money, because
Yeah.
that's going to show you like truly what are the things that they value.
Yeah.
And so, I think that when someone, when someone puts their money down to invest in you, they're really like they're putting a piece of themselves. They're investing in you. So that initial stage, taking someone from just being a fan to actually supporting you, investing you, becoming a part of the movement, I think is a big shift to have. So that free plus shipping offer is usually something. I know I've seen some very successful campaigns that you've done, even
Yeah.
featured on like Facebook, which is really
Yeah.
cool, which is like free
Yeah.
plus shipping CDs.
Yeah.
Um,
So that, just so
but
people know, the CD is free. They just have to cover the shipping. That's the offer. That's why it's so awesome because the CD is free. They just cover shipping. So it's just like, oh, that's a sexy offer that works with books and so much more. So, anyways, keep going.
Absolutely. Yeah. So free plus shipping, I think, is a really valuable thing to offer early on because you can phrase it. You can say, "Hey, so glad you enjoyed the music. Thanks for joining my community. By the way, as a gift, I want to send you a free CD, or I want to send you a free. We have like a starter pack bundle that just has like a few paper-based products that are really cheap to send out. And
Yeah.
the idea is that with the starter pack, um, the point of it isn't necessarily to make a profit. The point of it is just to help liquidate some of the ad spend that you need
Yeah.
to spend in order to reach those people. And so usually we recommend offering that for between $5 to $10 for like a free
Yeah.
plus shipping offer. And then the next piece of the value ladder that we usually focus on is a VIP bundle. And that's usually somewhere between like the $50 to $60 price point range. And that'll include something like, a t-shirt. It might include a VIP laminate that I really like this idea, like giving people either a VIP ticket or a laminate or something that they can redeem for a free meet and greet at the next show that you play
That's
near them.
cool. Yeah.
Because I mean, I know my wife, for example, is a huge Jonas Brothers fan,
Oh, cool.
and she's actually going to Vegas in like a few weeks or something to watch them play.
Oh, nice.
Um, but they have VIP tickets and they're like hundreds of dollars, right? They're like
Yeah.
$400 for like a VIP ticket. And so I think that there's a really high value to these meet and greets,
Mm,
these VIP tickets. Even if
mm,
you're not the Jonas Brothers, even if you're just like starting out, like that's still
yeah.
something that is really valuable that you can at least
Yeah.
value at like $50 to $60.
Yeah.
And so I think that including one of these in the VIP bundle is a great way to bring up the price. And also, it's a great way to get people to come out to the shows. If you're going to play
Yeah.
near them, then if they have this thing that they can redeem to get a free meet and greet, then they're gonna be a lot more likely to actually come out to the show, which is pretty
Oh my
cool.
gosh. Absolutely. And yeah, that's why you want to market in places where you're most likely going to tour so you can recoup even more. And that's the idea too, is having something that's a little higher ticket so that you can liquidate your ad spend and then even be profitable. And what I even have, I struggle with sometimes it's easy to want to turn something off because it didn't work the first time. And it's like, no, you didn't spend enough money. You didn't figure it out. You're so easy to spend all your money on your music, but you don't make any money back because you spend it all on the music and then you left no budget to figure it out. Like, what if it even takes you, $5,000, $10,000 to figure out your offer and then you're profitable for life because you figured it out, but because you quit too early, you missed out on this amazing opportunity. And I know that's what you teach your students in the coaching, and we're going to be talking about next week. Go to smartmusicbusiness.com to sign up for that, guys, because Michael's going to be blowing you guys away. But like, I get excited about this because like what we forget too is that once they've bought once, then they buy again and then they
Mhm.
buy, like, you have acquired a customer, right? Like, do you guys, can you speak into that a little bit more? Cause I know you fully understand that idea of like, now you've got them, they're on your list, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's really something. There's like a identity shift that happens in sorts. Again, when someone puts down money to support you, then even in their own mind, like there's something about that investment. There's even I forget what the right term is, but there's like this psychological thing that happens when you put down money and you invest in it. Um, I think it's called like sunk cost fallacy,
Mm,
where it's like literally like just by investing money, you invest yourself in it. And
that's
if
cool.
your identity is invested in something, then then it's a part of who you are. So I think that initial the starter pack when someone buys something, there definitely is something that's really it's like that's very powerful. They become a part of your tribe. And and also another analogy that I like to use a lot to describe that is that it's sort of like Newton's laws of physics, like inertia and momentum. If someone, and this is also the reason that I think that qualification and targeting are so important, especially with Facebook and Instagram advertising or any I mean, any marketing in general is really about finding the people who are really already active and already engaged and already kind of looking for what you offer,
Mm,
because it's like Newton's laws of physics. If someone has never gone out to a live show and they've never purchased merchandise and
right.
they've only listened to one or two bands, then it's very unlikely that they're going to become like a super fan or a big
Yeah.
supporter of your music too,
Yeah.
right? Compared to someone who, they just had one of their favorite indie bands come to their house and play a private party for $2,000, and they've done that like 4 times in the past
Yeah. Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
going out to all these shows, and someone like that is a million times more likely to be a super fan of your music as well.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, a lot of success when it comes to marketing really comes down to like finding those people, the right people who already have that inertia, who already have that momentum.
Yeah. That's good.
And by kind of having that momentum as well, by offering things that are kind of like a smaller commitment, you start building some of that movement. So you start building the momentum.
Yeah. That's so good. And are you seeing, because you mentioned it during my campaigns when we were doing the free plus shipping and when we got featured on Facebook for because we were selling so many albums, I saw an uptick on iTunes downloads and other things. Like obviously I was tracking the actual sales, like what I was spending versus coming in, but there was also, I don't know what you call it. There's a bleed over or whatever into other things were also going up. Are your students, are you guys seeing that stuff as well too? Because you're just marketing.
100%. Yeah, I've heard it called like different things. But I've heard like the echo effect or the
Yeah,
ripple
that's good.
effect.
Yeah, yeah.
But definitely, I think that just like it's kind of like energy waves. When there's like a wave, like it literally like ripple. You throw a big stone in the water, then there's ripples that go out
Love
from it.
that. Love that. Yeah, that's so good, dude. That's so good. Well, bro, me and you are going to be throwing some big rocks and causing some ripples next week, guys. It's going to be at 12 p.m. EST. Go to smartmusicbusiness.com. Oh, wait, is that when we're doing
I
it?
think
Wait a
I
minute.
think it's at 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock
Okay.
Eastern.
It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm looking at my calendar, 3 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday, August 18th. It's going to be so awesome. There'll probably be a little bit of a replay, but you don't want to miss it live because we're going to be there doing the Q&A and hanging out, and you can actually ask us questions. So, hey, can't wait to rock this, man. You've helped so many artists. You've inspired me as well too with some stuff. Even just talking about this stuff, I get excited about what I can do to market my music. So. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's always fun talking with you. And yeah, I think we both geek out about this stuff. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, just to speak to the free presentation as well. Another reason to be there live if you can is that we have a bunch of spreadsheets and freebies and resources that our system is automated so that basically like if you stay until the end of the presentation, you get a bunch of freebies for it. So it's a good reason to be there live if possible.
Awesome.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, guys. So make sure you come, make sure you stay to the end. You get rewarded for those that show up, man. Like when you go to a live, show, I remember I went to a live thing and I got free stuff and different things. And these are resources that are there to help you. And like being able to ask a specific question, is powerful. Let us just input into your life and then, and help coach you. So we'll see you guys next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, August 18th, Wednesday.
Cool. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man.